Welcome back to another Field Gemology Talks. It's Wednesday night in Bangkok, and my name is Justin Prim. I'm going to be one of your hosts for tonight as we continue our journey around the world via conversations from different people in different parts of the world. As you can see, we've filled up our world map for for today at least. I'm going to have to make a new layout so that we can fit all the guests that we still have yet planned to talk to. I want to thank all you guys for being here once again. This is our 15th webinar, which is to me just so awesome that we have been able to continue not only finding people that we want to talk to and cultivating good conversations, but just that we've, maintained the energy to keep on doing this week after week after week. And we're going to keep on doing it because we still have more people to go. So tonight we're going to be, instead of our normal talk where we talk to somebody who's in a specific location in the field, we're going to talk to somebody about documenting the field. So that will be interesting. Vincent, if you're ready, jump on in and we can get an idea about who we're speaking to tonight.
Hello, Justin, and
Welcome.
hi, everybody.
How's it going
So,
on your end of
yeah,
Bangkok tonight?
yeah, still in Bangkok, still allowed to stay in Thailand for a while, but probably we have to leave. I will have maybe to return to Europe in September, which is somewhere too bad because in Thailand still it's still the same. There is no case, no coronavirus. I think there was only one case recently. It's somebody, a Thai who came back from outside,
Mm-hmm.
but there are zero case in Thailand. There is just zero case, zero dead, and there are few people in quarantine. Only Thai people can come back, but Thailand is kind of lockdown. But you can go anywhere. You can do like before. It's a little bit like a coronavirus, except that we are not connected to the rest of the world. So
And we're still
uh,
all wearing masks. So
yeah,
that's
we are still wearing masks and washing hands and keeping a little bit of distancing. But no, everybody is wearing mask, and I think
so
that despite what people say, it seems that what is the difference between the countries who have several thousand cases per day on Thailand is that well, in Thailand, if people put masks right at the beginning, so within 1 month, they were able to get rid of the virus. So if everybody put a mask, like what happened in Thailand was the first country outside of China to have some case, and people put masks and wash their hands and they close everything. Everybody was thinking it will be out of control in Thailand, but actually, exactly the inverse. No coronavirus anymore.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to be speaking to somebody that you know very
Mm.
well because
Yeah.
you've done, I think, several trips. So tell us
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit about Philippe Bruno, our guest tonight, and tell us how you guys got involved actually, because I think this is maybe
Well, we,
interesting.
yeah, Philippe, I know Philippe since 2007, and we traveled together for 1 month from Kenya to Tanzania. And actually, we met because of a friend who he was one of the young guys who studied at AIGS when I was teaching at AIGS, and he was one of this guy who when I travel with people, I like these people to prepare the expedition because I just don't want to spend my time, when I travel with somebody to repeat and to explain, well, we are arriving here in Ilakak in Madagascar, so this is a place where you have some sapphire or that, because they don't have read anything. So I tell people, you have to prepare your expedition. This is something that I appreciate because if you start to ask questions, I'm okay with question, but not question like which kind of stone we can find in Ilakak. Well, you just have to read an article. It takes 1 or 2 hours before the expedition, and then you don't have to ask this question. So I told people to do that, but there was this guy. His name is Guillaume Souvira, and he was complaining that my article were too long. And actually he said, yeah, actually, yeah, I don't read too much your article because they are too long and I don't like to read too much. And actually, for the young generation, instead of writing long article, what you should do, you should make videos. So we were traveling together in 2006 with Guillaume. We went to Pakistan, to Afghanistan, to Tajikistan, and then to China. And he was pushing me on video, and he told me that he had a friend who studied uh, making film in California, and he was trying to motivate me to get a cameraman with me in the field. And I was thinking, like, I don't know this guy, and it's not because the guy is your friend that he can become my friend, and I can you know get a good relationship with him in the field. I don't like just to travel with people that I don't know. I don't know the guy, so there is no way he was going to come with us. But the next year, we decided to go to Kenya and Tanzania, and we were discussing about that with Richard Hughes, and we were, in Kenya and Tanzania, cars are very expensive to go in the field. It's to rent a car was something like $350 per day if you want to have a good car, because you don't want to have a car that will break down in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And in order to travel safe, we like to travel with two cars. So if one car is broken, so everybody go to the second car and things like that. But still, you have to cover the cost of a car that is $350 per day, plus the gas, plus the driver. So at the end, you end up with plus the hotel for the driver and the food for the driver. So you end up at something like $400 to $450 per day, easy.
Yeah.
So when you are alone to pay for that, that's a 1 month expedition that start to be very expensive. So every time what we're doing, okay, we can go 4 people in the car. Let's get 4 people. So we share the cost of the car. So 400 per person become 100 per person. So
Yeah.
then it was affordable. So on this trip in that car, I was traveling with Guillaume and with another young gemologist who studied at the AGS, American guy called Mike Rogers, who lives now in Hawaii. And but we were only three, so it was still. But Philip said, "Ah, yeah, we should take my cameraman, my friend. He will be good. He will do that." And yeah, this time at the end, money was speaking, and I decided to make a breach on my normal way to do. And I say, okay, but if your friend do anything that I really don't like, you're responsible for him. So you better, I will have no pity with your friend. And actually, it was great that he invited his friend, because his friend was Philippe Bruno. And Philippe now is one of my best friends. So sometimes you have to listen to your friend and you have to break some rules, even if they are like a field emoji rules, you have to break them. And sometimes, yeah, even when you break the rule, something positive happened. So we had this expedition for 1 month where Philippe was documenting the expedition. And after 5 years, he was able to deliver Follow the Zebra. When I saw that, I said, wow, that's great. And when I saw this video, Follow the Zebra, when he delivered it in 2012, then I realized that Guillaume was right. Yeah, actually, it would be great if in the future, I keep traveling with a cameraman, because if we could make documentaries about this expedition and all these places that I visit, it will be good for people in the lab who want to know how it is, and not just the gemologists, but also the people who want to be sure that I really collected the stone at this place at this time and things like that. So to document, to make sure, like, for traceability and quality control, and also for the public, because we could make some short videos that will show to people how it is, in the gem mining area. We had the kind of privilege to visit when we are doing research for on gemology.
Yeah. I know for me,
So
when I was just getting ready to, when I was kind of making my initial plan for gemology school, and I knew I was coming to Bangkok, I started looking everywhere on the internet. I mean, I knew I was going to read all the school books, but I went on YouTube And I remember I had seen a bunch of your videos before I came to Bangkok, but I didn't know that you lived in Bangkok because I just knew you were like this French guy. I assumed you
Mm,
lived in France or something. And so I knew a
mm.
lot of your videos from that time. And I think if you hadn't made the videos, I don't think we would have ever met because when I saw you in person, I knew who you were from the video, but I wouldn't have known you, even if I read your articles, I probably wouldn't recognize you. So I'm glad that you made the videos because otherwise we probably wouldn't be here right now. So
Yeah, so for that, actually, you will have to thank another French guy, which is Guillaume Soubira, who he is a funny guy. He is really a funny guy. And because, yeah, it's thanks to him that everything started with Philippe.
yeah,
Maybe we should call Philippe a little bit
I was
because
thinking the same
it's
thing.
more
Maybe.
fun if we can answer, if he can answer and interact a little bit about that because
So Philippe, if you're ready, yeah, there you go. Come on in.
Yeah, here I am.
Welcome.
Hi, Justin. Hi, Vincent. Hi, everyone. And happy
yeah.
birthday to your dog.
Thank you. So
Oh,
where
okay.
are you where are you coming from tonight?
I'm in Bordeaux, France.
Bordeaux.
That's
Bordeaux.
where I live.
It's
So
just 100 kilometers from my house in France.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we ended up
Yeah.
in the same. We ended up. I ended up living in the same region.
well,
So
speaking of
great
living
for teamwork.
speaking of living in the same region, I meant to ask you this before, but I'll just ask you now. You went to UC San Francisco, right?
SFSU, yeah.
Oh yeah, San Francisco State. What
Yeah.
year were you there?
From 2000 to 2004.
Okay, because I lived like 2 blocks from there, but in 2012 to 2015, I thought maybe we
Oh,
might have
really?
lived there around the same time, but no,
Okay.
different
Yeah, that
generation.
was a few years later. Yeah. At that time, actually, I was in France. Yeah.
Well, so anyway, I didn't mean to jump ahead of our chronology. So you want to we heard a little bit about you from Vincent's point of view, but you want to give us a little rundown of who you are and how you got
Yeah.
into doing videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, actually, my background is, you were speaking of SFSU. I studied film at San Francisco State, and I worked a few years then in the film industry in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. But at the time, I was already, orienting myself towards documentary instead of fiction, because I had this sense that I wanted to make films that really had a purpose, and also this feel of exploring and trying to record what I was exploring and sharing it with people. So basically, I was already leaning towards documentary filmmaking. I had done some shorts before that, and I was following the friend that Vincent told you about earlier, Guillaume,
Hmm.
who is because I'm originally from Madagascar. I was born and raised over there, partly raised between Madagascar and the U.S. And Guillaume, we were in high school together in Madagascar, and so he started a career as a gemologist, and he was doing his trips with his two mentors, which were Vincent Pardieu and Richard Hughes. And I would see pictures of his travels around the world. It was just breathtaking, and I just told Antonio, if one day you get the opportunity of if I can come along one day, just please let me know. And he one day he calls me up and he says, okay, if you're open to it, in 1 month we're going to Kenya and Tanzania for a month. If you want to come along, no questions asked. You just say yes or no, and you finance your trip and you come along. And I was like, so I had no idea what I was going to getting into. I didn't know at all the gem role, or at all what it was, or the people that he was traveling with. I had at the time, Vincent, you were at the beginning of your career, and Richard was much more well known over there, but I wasn't familiar with that world. So I accepted, and of course, I mean, naturally came up to my mind the idea of documenting it. So at the time, I grabbed it was the first semi HD pro camera that came out, and try to find finance to finance the trip, and I just came along. And actually, I met everybody in Kenya, in Nairobi, right there. The only person I knew was Guillaume, and I met the team right there, and went on that trip, which remains today one of the most memorable trips I've ever made. And every trip that I make with Vincent now today is just so interesting that the only urge that I have is to capture it on film and share it with the people that are interested in these worlds.
Yeah. Well, so Vincent mentioned Follow the Zebra, and you sort of just gave us a little bit of the backstory. Should we watch the trailer for people who haven't seen it, we can see some glimpses of what Follow the Zebra looked like and all that?
Yeah, just the trailer, because the whole video is about 1 hour.
Yeah,
so
we
that was
do
the
that.
trailer that was released. When did you release the trailer? I think in 1 year before the release of the movie.
Yeah, so actually the trailer, well, I'll talk about how the film, the time that it took to actually make the film. But the trailer, just to note, the trailer was made very early because at the time I was actually looking for finances to put out the project. So the trailer was actually made before even the documentary was put together. So yeah, that's just a short info on that.
Okay, well.
Nawauliza swali hasa ambao ni wanasayansi kwamba ni vipi mnaweza ama kuna katika utafiti wenu mnaweza mkagundua kuna utofauti baina ya ruby za Tanzania na ruby za Madagascar?
There are some places where ruby and sapphire are found for many years. Some kings and some queens and some movie stars, they bought the stone, and people have written books about this place.
How do you value it?
The problem with Tanzania and Madagascar is ruby and sapphire were found very recently. No books speak about that. Gemology is not only about science, gemology is also about the people who take this stone from the ground and bring this stone to the famous jewelry store and jewelry makers.
But for us it is good because we get something which we can help our family.
You cannot stop them mining. They want to go mining, but they are motivated by hope. Because in Tanzania you have, I think, around 40% of people without job, a lot of poor farmers. And these people, if they just stay in their farms, they don't have any future. It's not growing rice or burning the forest to make charcoal that they will become rich. They are young, they are strong, they are motivated.
Philippe,
yeah.
Toyota Land Cruiser français, how much shillings?
What?
Toyota Land Cruiser new model.
New model kulikuwa mna
30 million. 40? 30 million.
Can you put some light on him?
when we walk hard here, just live to this area.
Ça nous a pris 1h30 pour arriver au fond du trou. Il doit faire probablement plus de 300 mètres de descente par échelle. Donc voilà, je voulais rendre un petit hommage à l'un des métiers les plus durs du monde. Parce que je serais incapable de faire ce qu'ils font. Voilà.
How old are you? 24. So it's 9 years you are mining here.
And the capital, I get it here.
So it's
To me,
24.
to me, the capital which I'm running it now, I get it here.
So you became the manager of the mine at 15?
Yeah.
15 years old, you were the manager of the mine.
When my father died, and me, I left the school. I came here to work.
At 15 years old.
Yeah.
They hit a pocket of stone. They stop mining, they will invest in something else. They will take the money and bring the money back in their farm, and you will not hear about them anymore in the gem trade.
But now he's not anymore a small-scale miner.
Are you happy about the stone?
Nauliza uko na furaha na kupatikana kwa lile jiwe? Ulikuwa na furaha?
Very happy. People, they are poor farmers and they are poor miners. They go there to the mine in order to work hard, in order to build a future for themselves and their families. And there is beauty in that. There is beauty in that.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah,
work.
and actually the title of the webinar tonight is From Follow the Zebra to Follow a Dream. But actually following the zebra is following a dream. This is what most of the miners are doing. They follow a dream, finding a big stone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. It's yeah, like you said, it's I was actually speaking of me when I said that when we spoke about that title, but it actually refers to them. That's what they're doing. They're following a dream, and like many people in that world, you know, that's what's so interesting actually in the gem world. That's what what I greatly value of you know, having the opportunity to work in this industry is that it not only attracts people from all sorts of life at the very bottom of the chain, meaning the miners, the ones who you know, that actually go and mine the gemstones, but also in different levels of the profession. I mean, it's incredible when sometimes I speak about the documentaries that I make about these worlds. I'm so surprised that people say, "Oh, well, really? Well, I know about gemstones also. I like to collect these and those, and etc." And really, and it's crazy how the world of gemstones actually is much more wider than we can imagine, and that's something fascinating too, because you can really meet people from all different paths of life, and it's really worth you know, documenting those people and trying to share their stories sometimes.
And also, when we go to mining areas, you find a lot of people with interesting characters, because when there is, for example, a gem rush in a place like Madagascar or something like that, it attracts people with completely different background, and they have sometimes some very interesting stories.
Well, for sure, it's like, for example, Nixon Manga that we just saw in the trailer, who became a manager at the age of 15. I mean, you know, at the time when I went with you, I was in my 20s, you know, late 20s, and it's incredible to see that, you know, at such a young age, you know, he had it was forced upon him. He had to actually take the management of the mine into his hands, and he just did it.
His father died from AIDS, huh? His father died from AIDS. That's why, and he was the owner of the mine. His father was the owner of the mine, and he died from AIDS. And then he had to step in because he was the elder brother, and that was a family business. So he had to go to the mine in order to keep the business of his father going and bring some money home for his mother, for his younger brothers and sisters. No choice.
Right, and that's what we learned actually. That's what one of the main lessons that I learned when I went with you in Tanzania is that all these people, whether it's him or other Tanzanian miners, small-scale miners, that they get together and, you know, they with this common goal. Everyone has a role. Some of them actually do not mine themselves. They oftentimes they provide finances. They finance the tools, the medicine, the food. Until they hit a pocket, something that, you know, the miners would not be able to do. They could not. They have no, you know, didn't have no substantial savings to just keep paying for days and days on of searching without any assurance that they're going to find anything. So that was really fascinating to see how there was really a specific organization that that they would put in place, and it would work very well. There was much respect, and the example was also Nixon Munger, who actually at the age of 15, despite his young age, was respected, and everybody knew that they had their role and they were all working towards the same objective. So that was that human side of it was very fascinating. I documented it in Follow the Zebra.
So how many different trips have you gone on now?
Ooh.
Oh, well, total, how many trips? I mean, it's
Vietnam
almost
twice, Tanzania 1, and Madagascar 3.
3 times, yeah, 3 times Madagascar. So yeah, so it's, I'm at about, huh?
6?
6, yeah, 6 trips.
Together, yeah.
6 trips and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 films. 6 trips and 7 films, and yeah, it's every time it's something new, something really worth sharing, and even though I'm from Madagascar, actually that's what was very, very interesting, was to go and explore this field that, like I said, I was not familiar with gemstone mining, even though I was from Madagascar, and even though being from there, the traveling with Vincent in these remote areas was truly fascinating, and we ended up making actually many short films together on the subject.
Yeah. So as somebody who came into this, you as you said, you were already making some films before Follow the Zebra, right? Or is that your first big project?
Well, Follow the Zebra was actually my first feature length. The film is 106 minutes. Mm-hmm. So it was my first feature length. So at the time when I went with Vincent, it was actually a 1-month trip. So I actually had 1 month of filming there. That was just fabulous. Not only to get into the mood and I was completely submerged in that world and for 1 month, but also in terms of footage. I mean, I had lots of footage. The only thing is that at the beginning, I had never done such filmmaking like that. It was kind of guerrilla filmmaking. That I had no idea what I was getting into and what I was going to film. So when I got back, actually putting the film together with the information that I had was really puzzling. It was a huge puzzle that I had to put together. So that and the finances, actually, it took me many years to put that film together. At first, actually, that's why I made the trailer first. I tried to look for finances to help me move forward with that project. And in the end, I ended up actually pushing the project forward with working in different fields on my side and financing it mostly on myself. And it was also in the end it was also very, very beneficial, and I truly needed that as an artist and as a filmmaker to really isolate myself and try to create the best story I could with this information. But it's true that in the end it made a very interesting film because notably we had a huge opportunity to meet the person who actually found that huge tanzanite.
No, that was
not the tanzanite. I mean the huge spinel. Yeah, so that was a great set because I knew when we arrived in Kenya and Tanzania, Vincent and Richard told me about that huge stone that had been found.
That was the main objective of the expedition, was to bring Richard to visit spinel mine in central Tanzania, in a place called Mahenge. And about I think we went there in October, and during summer there was a little bit before, there was a huge spinel about 54 kilograms that was found in Mainge. And the stone was sold in Dar es Salaam, and then by somebody who took the piece to Bangkok, and then they cut some stone from facette stone from that piece. And the stone cut from that 54 kilogram steel and really put Mahenge on the map of the gemstone deposit in Africa, because when the stone was displayed in Basel in 2008, it was very, very impressive for many people. So this set was sold at a record-breaking price. And people say, wow, spinel, you have a spinel like that, this color, like 30, 40 karat, and they went for this price. So it really attracted a lot of interest. And yeah, that was, well, we wanted to go there because we wanted to see that place. I visited the place already in 2005, but it was before the discovery of the big spinel, so it was more quiet. But we wanted to document that part. And we were trying to find out actually the guy who found this spinel, and we wanted to document his story and see if we could also collect some reference samples. So that was one of the main objectives for that expedition, actually, from on the lab side. Yeah. But for Philippe, it was super difficult because Philippe, you can maybe speak about that, but when for me also it was my first time traveling with a cameraman. I had no idea what to do, but there is one thing I didn't want it to do. I had a group with you know, there was a schedule. It was a tough expedition because Richard asked me, say, oh, Vincent, I would like to go to this place, this place, this place. I look at the schedule and I say, wow, you know, that would be it's a kind of marathon, but we have to go as a sprinter. It's a sprinting marathon. It's a long trip, but we have to be quick and efficient if we want to be able to visit all these places. So I had no time to, you know, prepare the thing for a cameraman, a guy that I didn't know, and, you know, be at his service in order to do what he wanted to do. So I just told Philippe, you know, Philippe, you are totally rated in that expedition. You are here to make a movie. You take, you do whatever you want, but I don't really have time to deal with you. So if you see that I'm available, you can ask me stuff. But most of the time I was running here, there, preparing things, trying to make sure that getting the sample, organizing security, the cars, everything. But I didn't have much time to dedicate to Philippe. And
yeah, for sure.
No idea about the gem trade. So he arrived, he said, wow, okay, what's that?
Yeah. Well, for sure, yeah, that was a very challenging part. Like Vincent said, basically he was at the time not used at all to having anybody film him or follow him. So just imagine you have your main subject who is always turning his back to you, and you have to run, you have to sprint in front of him, and even when you do that, he'll make no effort to actually turn towards you when you're trying to film. So that was the beginning of the trip. But like you said, it was a very, even though it was 1 month, it was a very intensive trip. I remember that, you know, our main wake up hours like 4 in the morning, about 4 or 5 in the morning. And so we saw many, many mines. It's incredible the number of mines that we actually traveled to during that month. And so we just imagine being together like this as a team for so long. We really got to, you know, started to get to know each other. I mean, you know, I understand also Vincent at the time in the sense that the only thing he knew was that I was a friend of Guillaume. I had not proven myself as a filmmaker. I had not proven my value in any way. And, you know, I think that I needed to do that. And I totally respected that.
Well,
and towards the end of the...
I was just going to say, we know, or at least I know, and I know Vincent knows now, it takes a little bit of work to be on camera. You can't just, I mean, I think you did great in Follow the Zebra and being able to document him. But I think from the expedition that I went on with him and from the videos I've seen, Vincent has also learned a lot about how to be on camera, you know, how to be focused the right way and talk the right, you know what I mean? You know, like it's a lot of concentration to do all the things that we do in the field and know that the camera is on you and you have to kind of plan shots and all this kind of crazy stuff.
For sure. For sure. I mean, basically, when Vincent decided to have filmmakers like me follow him, he pretty much added another profession to his field. It's really work. I mean, like you said, it's really a lot of planning because many things can go wrong. It's sometimes you have some crucial images you're not going to get twice, and if you haven't prepared a minimum, if you don't have if people are blocking my view or not paying attention to where I am, or even though I try to disappear sometimes with the camera, but yeah,
that's good, because I was wondering how the people will react with a cameraman. When you go to a place, a mine, there are miners or a market, already when you arrive, you're a group of 5 or 6 foreigners, and they see people with cameras taking photos. So usually, sometimes people don't really like too much when you take photos. So they need to accept you, and then you start to take photographs. I really don't like, when I arrive at a mine and I don't even know the people, they're starting to shoot at them, like, no, you
Sure.
start to look at them and you say, hello. So coming with a cameraman, I was wondering how the people will react on that. So I was quite curious about, well, actually, there is this guy, he's a cameraman. So I told Philippe, I don't know how to do to make yourself accepted, but I don't want people to freak out about us because there is a cameraman with us,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're touching on something that I really learned over there, and is that the first thing, I would never walk into a mine and, like you said, just filming. It would be and you really taught us that when we're traveling with you. There's you really got to show respect to the people that are welcoming you, whether it's at their home or at their mine or at the place of work. I remember that when I was in Tanzania, actually, I would before present myself and etc., and then just signal to the camera, do you mind if I shoot? And most of the time they were just happy to do it. But you had to go through that it seems like not a lot, but it's actually you realize that it's crucial to them, because it would be just disrespectful to just walk up to them and assume that you can just film whatever they're doing. So yeah, that's and I think that's what makes today all these subjects potential films to be made is that today Vincent has really after years and years and years of traveling has created a network of contacts and friends that makes it possible. They know that they're when Vincent arrived, that they can rest assured. There's nothing. We're going to work hand in hand with them, and we're here actually to. Vincent we were talking about it a few days ago. We really focus on positive sides of this industry, and in general, we tend to focus on the positive sides. There's many movies that are made on the negative sides of things, and what I clearly put forward in Follow the Zebra is that what I document and what I show is actually only what I saw and what I witnessed. It doesn't mean that it's a complete study of the subject matter. It's really what I was able to view and document, and what I wish to put forward. And I find it, I find it, and in the end, that's what I'm good at. Also, I just wanted to point that out. Also, I'm not a sensational filmmaker. I'm not good with subjects that lean towards the negative and controversial and etc. I'm good. I'm really inspired by the human desire, to advance and to work and to discover themselves through the work and to try to achieve. And that's what I really document through my films.
Yeah, and that now it's much more easy. For example, to go to a mining area with a cameraman, because many people in mining area have seen the videos that we have done, and they understand basically what I'm doing, and they see that the video are okay. And in many occasions, people are asking me, "Oh, are we going to make a video like the one you did before?" So actually, to bring a cameraman now, it's a kind of bonus. People are happy that I bring a cameraman because they know that there will be maybe a 5-minute or 10-minute short documentary that they will be able to share with their friends and their families. But
So,
at the beginning, it was a little bit funny. And for me, you see, the most important thing with this expedition, and this is why I think Philippe said that, is I want to be able to be back. When I go to the field, I'm there to build a network and collect some sample. Number one, collect the sample. But I want to be back because if you want to understand a gem producing area, if you go one time, you go 1 or 2 days, you collect some sample, you don't really have a clear understanding about what is going on. To have a clear understanding about what is going on and to have, some samples that are kind of representative of the deposit, most of the time you have to go minimum 2 or 3 times. If you go one time, it's like you take a photograph. You don't see the motion. If you go a second time, you come back 1 or 2 years later, you see the evolution in the between, and you collect new sample. And you will be able to check if these samples are the same as the one before. If they are slightly different, you will learn about the complexity of the deposit. When you go a third time, you have a third point. And then every time when you go with different people, you hear different aspects of the same story. Every time when I go, I ask the same question. I ask, when was the mine discovered, how it was discovered? Sometimes during the same expedition, I asked this type of question 5 or 6 times in order to get 5 or 6 different sides of the story. Or maybe different, sometimes nobody knows how it was discovered, but there is 2 or 3 stories that are around. I don't know which one is true, but I want to collect them and to see what is going on. And so the most important thing is not like behaving like some journalist, like Attila type, kind of a journalistic type. You go in a place, you take some video, and you sell a documentary, a kind of a so-called documentary or thing like that show, any kind of bad stuff because it sells better. The thing is, I don't sell the documentaries. I put them for free on the internet in order to thank the people who welcome us at the mine. So I don't need to put like a child labor, prostitution, drug, and things like that in order to sell that to a TV network. We don't sell the video. We are basically using the video. We are putting them online for number one, to thank the miner who welcome us and to inform the public. And usually I just tell Philippe, you just document what you saw. You don't try to ask people to, I don't want the cameraman to ask the people to pretend that they are going mining or no stage. I don't want the thing to be staged. We are documenting the expedition, not fabricating an expedition for, a show. The most important thing is that at the end, I want the miners to be happy. I want the lab to be happy, so I have the sample. And I want next time when I will come back, I want my life and my work to be easier. So I want the people to be, oh yeah, Vincent, you are the guy who did the video last time, we enjoy it, and please, in the video there is that and that, but you miss this point and this point and this point. So it's very important to leave a good impression in order to be able to be back and easier and build this network. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right, for sure. And actually, going back on something that you just said, whether it's me or it's the rest of the crew, whether it's our drone pilot Anthony Metes or my fellow filmmaker Didier Barrière, we all actually come from other fields in gemology. So we have this neutrality, and which actually you encourage us to keep. And you were touching on one point when I was trying to finance Fall Zebra at the beginning, but I went to see a French documentary company, and they were very interested in making films about this world. But everything stopped when they actually tried to script the story before I was going on the trip, and I said, but that's just not possible. I mean, there's no way. I'm not going to go there and try to find the story that you want. The goal is to actually explore, discover, and share this discovery, and share these with an open eye and a neutral eye. And that's something that that's what makes the films that we make so unique. Of course, sometimes we have an idea of what we're going to find, generally a general idea, but most of it is this discovery, and so there's also a risk to it, of course, because sometimes you can or cannot. We're not going to fall every time on a person that makes in manga, or the guy who found the spinel. That's just it depends on the trip. You, like you said, always expect the unexpected, and actually, that's what we walk into when we go make a film with you. There's a lot of an unexpected part, and but that gives, I feel it gives a feel to the movies that we make that is quite unique, and that moves away from a huge part of the documentary filmmaking that are made today that really have a pre-established idea of what they want to find before even they get to documenting those fields.
So, Philippe,
the thing is, we have some. Sorry, Justin. You see, the thing usually we give ourselves some time. We are doing like people in the past century. I think the most important thing when you go to the field, really the luxury you have in the field is time. If you have time, and if there is anything happen, any problem happens, so you will be able to deal with it. But if there is also any opportunity, you will be able to take advantage of it. For example, if we see that there is somebody that we should meet because he will tell us the story of that, on that, on that, we go to meet him. We have time. We are not blocked by a script and a schedule, which is what, from what I see, most of the people working with documentary they are bound with, because they have a budget, they have to get all the image in 1 week, and they need image about that, and that in order to be able to assemble their story. That was written before. We work on the story during the trip. When we see something, I tell you, oh, look at that. Maybe, we can take some good image of that, because maybe we have the story. We know what will be basically the focus on this 5-minute teaser that will show one aspect of the expedition. Or maybe if we see that it's really interesting, we say, I think we can go on 10 minutes on that one. Instead of 5 minutes, let's extend a little bit, because there is something great and a great opportunity, and why not?
Right. It was like, one of those examples was when I went to Vietnam with you. There was different subjects that looked very interesting. One of them was the role of women in the gemstone mining industry in Vietnam, something that was totally new to me compared to Tanzania, where I had been with you just before that. Women in Africa, I mean, at least in Tanzania and Kenya, were present at the mine because the miners lived around the mine, but they weren't necessarily working in the mines and taking part in the work and in the business. And that was something that in Vietnam I discovered was very strong, the part that women played. And that was actually one of the potential subject matters that we wanted to put forward. There was that and gem painting. And in the end, we ended up doing gem painting because, like I said earlier, our goal really is try to advance and to help people to move forward, whether it's the miners or other people in the industry. And gem painting was a dear project of you, Vincent, that you had an idea you had for a long time, and you really truly wanted to share it with the world, and you wanted other people in other parts of the world, other miners, to actually see the potential of gemstone painting, notably in Madagascar and etc. So we decided to go with that subject.
No, not really were miners. It was not necessarily the miners. It's the thing that gem painting, which is a kind of articraft about making some drawing with gemstone powder, using all the gemstones that are too small to be cut, and like that. So you are using a gemstone powder or a small gemstone, and you are basically making a painting with that. So this is something that I found very interesting, because in many gem mining areas, most of the miners are actually mining stone that worth nothing. So this is the key point on many people who are writing about the gem industry. Most of the time, they miss totally that point. There is a huge difference between, for example, the gold industry and the color gemstone industry. Because when you mine 100 grams of gold, you have 100 grams of gold. There is a kind of price for gold, and 1 gram of gold is 1 gram of gold, and you have a standard price. Now, when you mine 100 grams of sapphire, what is the value of 100 grams of sapphire? Well, it can be 0 or it can be huge, but it depends on quality. And what is quality? Well, it depends on the market. So you have many people who struggle with that, because, for example, they want numbers, and they want to be able to see if everything is okay. So, for example, if you're a sapphire buyer and you are in a place like Vietnam or in Madagascar, most of the time, the miners, the production of the miners doesn't worth anything. It's sapphire, but it's wrong color. It's a wrong clarity. The clarity is not good, the color is not good, and the shape is not good. So if you are somebody, for example, who wants to do a faceted stone, you cannot use this material for faceted stone because they are too small, they are too include, so the light will not penetrate inside the stone, the color is wrong. So what is this material worth? If you are a gem cutter like you, Justin, and you are cutting stone, you need transparent stone with a nice color in order to make a stone. When you see 100 grams of sapphire, it can worth nothing. Now, if you have one stone that is clean, a good shape, so you can facet a stone with a pavilion on a crown, and also there is a good color, so then this stone maybe will worth $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000. So what is the value of gemstone? Most of the time, the value is 0. And what I have seen in a gem producing area is that most of the production for most of the miners actually worth nothing, because you cannot use it to facet stone. But from time to time, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, he will find a stone that will be, the quality will be good enough in order to maybe facet something. So actually, gemstone mining is, there is one stone from time to time that is a byproduct of mining for junk. And many buyers, when they go at the mine and they buy the daily production of the miner, they lose money because they buy junk. They buy stones that they know are useless. Why? Because they want to keep the miner working. And in order, after 1 week or 2 weeks, suddenly in the parcel, there is one stone that is not useless. So sometimes you go, when you are a buyer and you want to keep the people mining, you just buy stones that are worthless. So people say, why you buy this stone for $20? Well, because I want the miner to keep working. But what are you going to do with that? And then the guy say, I don't know, I will put that in a box and nothing. So this is where gem painting are coming, and they are great because with gem painting, you can use all these worthless material and turn it into something that has a market. So for small miners who are working in a place where there are, most of the stone are low quality and cannot find any market for that, these provide a market for all the stones that are not good enough to go to the faceted market. And the value of this stone, of course, is very low, but this small amount that you have every day enable people to keep mining, and from time to time you have a stone that worth faceting that is produced. So this is where this technique is great, because if you import this technique in a gem producing area, then it creates a base for every day or every 2 or 3 days for some good quality facet material to be produced in the area. And then people who come to buy rough, like you, Justin, will be able to find something. And I saw that many places in many mining areas when there is no market for the low quality material, there is no mining. So the key point is to find a market for what has no value and put a tiny small value to that. And I saw that it was working very well in Mogok, in Myanmar, and in Vietnam. And I told Philippe, yeah, the idea we had about women in the gem industry in Vietnam is great, but if we want to help gem producing areas, especially, for example, in Madagascar, Tanzania, or things like that, you know, I'm telling people about gem painting, and people don't get the idea. So I say, can you make okay, next time we go to Vietnam, please, okay, we focus on that, on gem painting. So for once in a while, you have the idea before to go. So you get yourself a little bit in that, you do some research, and let's make a short documentary about 20 minutes in order to have something that I can share with people. For example, maybe an NGO who want an idea because they want to finance a project near a mining area in order to help, you know, the local communities. And I think that gem painting, introducing gem painting in a gem producing area would be a great project. If anybody has the will and then the funding to do something like that, either a mining company or a company, you know, or a government or an NGO interested in developing gem producing country, I think gem painting is something that is really worth exploring. And this is the reason why we made this video for education.
Sure. Yeah, it's pretty much this idea of upcycling this like you said, junk. That's how they presented it. That's how the Vietnamese actually got. That's the story that we tell in gem painting. The Vietnamese got started on doing gem painting. They pretty much saw that the Thais were buying junk. I'm sorry?
They could not understand why the Thai were buying this stone. That for them, there was no value.
They were finding it curious that they were buying the junk, going away with the junk. And one of them actually got the great idea to go and see in Thailand what they were doing with it, and that's how it got started. So this upcycling idea is just fabulous. Making, you know, bringing value to something that is that has no value. It's just fabulous, and I can truly hope it can help many mining mining sites around the world.
Well, I've got the teaser video for the gem painting movie. Shall we show them a little bit about, if they haven't seen the movie, we can give them a little sample of what it's like?
Yeah.
Okay, let's check that out.
Tôi cũng là thuộc thế hệ khai thác mỏ đá quý đầu tiên ở đất nước Việt Nam.
Miners cannot live with 1% of the production. Here, the reason why you have several hundred miners is because there is a market for the low quality stone with the gem paintings. The gem quality stones that are found here are just a byproduct of mining for gem painting. If you cut the gem painting industry here, there will be no more mining. Gem painting is something that could be used, for example, in Africa if people want to develop some mining area.
Yeah, there was a small teaser made for Instagram. That's why it's a square format, but the film is 16 by 19.
So Philippe, one thing that I was wondering, you know, as somebody who's not coming from inside of the gem trade and who kind of, let's say, got thrust into a pretty intensive situation, right? Like even just in the first trip that you went on, you probably saw things that many people in the gem trade have never seen and never will see, because, you know, for many people that can't go to the mines and all that. So what was your kind of initial impression from just kind of seeing firsthand, the mining, the marketplaces that you went to, some of the cutting people, how did you perceive it as a storyteller?
Well, the mining part, I was very intrigued by it when I did my first trip with Vincent in Tanzania and Kenya. Not only because I'm from Madagascar, and the questions that I actually ask in Fall Zebra, I ask myself and I share with the viewers is why do people actually choose to go mine and do this this very tough work instead of doing something else? And that was really a question that that I tried to answer when I was in Tanzania. And actually, just to make a parallel of just that, let's say just the bare small scale gemstone mining with just bare tools and no machinery. When I did a screening of Fouled Zebra, I had the opportunity of doing a screening in the Dolby Theater in San Francisco a few years back, and the audience that I had at the end when I spoke of this experience, they said, but that actually small scale gemstone mining with just basic tools is almost identical here in the US than it is than what you've shown in the documentary, meaning that that basically it's the same principle. Of course, there's some differences and there's not the same challenges. Okay, we're talking about a very developed country compared to a developing nation, but the work itself is actually almost the same. So that actually kind of answers what I was saying earlier, in that when I questioned the miners in Tanzania and etc., they explained that actually gemstone mining was really worth it for them, as long as they didn't get the gemstone fever in a sense, like gold at the time in the US and etc. And I realized that actually most of them had another job on the side. Or actually, when you question them, they would not say, first of all, oh, I'm a gemstone miner. No, they would say, no, I'm a farmer. I'm a farmer, but right here, right now, I have no work in the farm, so I go gemstone mining. And so they complement their revenue with gemstone mining. Yeah. Of course, I'm generalizing. There are some people that dedicate their life to that, but a lot of them were actually, did this work to complement other fields of work, and a lot of them actually found that they could actually obtain a good revenue from it. So I was very intrigued by that part actually, and to really try to understand how somebody could do such a tough of a job. Like Guillaume, my friend Guillaume in Found Zebra said when he was at 200 meters underground, I mean, this is one of the toughest professions in the world. I mean, in Merolani, the guys were sleeping down there at 200 meters underground. I mean, I was just being down there. We would walk down there with Vincent. We were down there like an hour or so, and it was really challenging for us. I mean, these guys, they were actually at the time, I think they were turning 24/7. I mean, they were doing 2-hour shifts. They would switch, and then after they would go sleep 12 hours, and then there would be another team, and they would go down for 2 hours at a time, and that's just incredible. And the other thing also that I realized when I started to document this field is that the world of gemstone mining has been here for centuries. It's not something new. It's not something that just appeared, and it's not something that's going to go away. Whatever you do, like I said earlier, I mean, it doesn't take much. If you want to do small scale mining with just basic tools, you just need a shovel and just a will to try to find something, and you'll do it. So you can't. There's no restrictions or laws that can ever stop these people from doing that. And that's something that I actually learned, being from Madagascar, is that oftentimes, there's a thin line between reglementation and actually effectiveness. Reglementing is not always the right path. Sometimes, trying to actually orient or educate these people into the right direction, well, Vincent, you do oftentimes. I know that when you travel, what I was fascinated also is that you would really share your knowledge about gemstone mining and what you had seen in other countries. And I was fascinated by how the gem miners in Tanzania were looking at you and really listening to everything you were saying, and captivated by what you were saying, the techniques that you were talking about in other countries. And in the end, that's what hooked me. That's what hooked me to this idea that traveling with Vincent, every country that we would go to would probably have a techniques or something that they're doing that is a little bit different from another country, and that could actually mutually help each other in fields that are actually not so documented, because their gemstone mining often happens in very secluded parts. So you really have to make an effort to go there. So these people actually don't benefit from the internet or information on that, except from videos that we do. For example, the videos that we do, we try to share actually this information that's obtained from these very secluded parts,
Yeah, this is true. This is actually one of the reasons why I decided to take the burden to kind of travel with a field cameraman, is that I saw that, with thanks to internet, number one, I was writing a lot on internet more than in magazine, because magazine miners, I know they are not going to read the magazine. They are not going to, access to a gemological publication and things like that. Miners, if I write there, I'm sure that the people that I meet at the mine will not read that, because they will not take a subscription to a magazine. So if I want to help the people in the gem producing area, we had to find another way. So when I was discussing with Richard Hughes in 2005, Richard had his website from very early on, and Richard told me, yeah, put everything online. And so he motivated me to make this website on which I was writing articles. And I found out that people were not really reading my article. So then I say, okay, well, I have to adapt. So we decided to go on video, thanks to Philippe and Follow the Zebra, because I saw the education value of a documentary like Follow the Zebra, not just for the public, but also, for the subject, for the miners, because we could show what to people, for example, in Vietnam or in Pakistan, what was going on in Myanmar, or to people in Africa. So miners, as Philippe say, most of the time they are farmers, they are not professional miners. The miners that you meet in especially small scale miners or many people there. So they have a very limited understanding about the mining world. So how can we bring them some information? There is one tool that I saw after 2008, 2009, everybody has, is internet with a mobile phone. So if we put video online, then we can show this video. Even when we meet the miners, I can show them on my phone. I can show them a short video about what we saw somewhere else, and then we can communicate, and that will be able to help them. So most of the time when we go to the field, we have some kind of business card with the YouTube channel, and we tell people that you have all these video on the YouTube channel, so they can go see and they can have an idea about how people mine the same stone as them, but in another place. And that makes the thing quite interesting, because in this short video there are some interesting. One of the interesting one, Philippe, was with Nirine that we interviewed a few weeks ago. And Nirine is not, again, he was not a professional miner at the beginning. He was an aeronautic engineer, and then he was working for the state. And then he found out that you had this discovery of sapphire in Ilakak, so he went mining. But at this time, and he had a lot of challenge mining in Ilakak, especially when he was reaching the level where you had the water. In Madagascar, he had a problem working with that. And then when we discussed, we said, but in Sri Lanka, they are mining in paddy field, and there is water everywhere, but they build the mine in a way that they can deal even if there is water. And then I showed him a short video about that, and he was amazed. And then he went to Sri Lanka and he learned the technique and he brings it back in Madagascar. So I saw that video. When you tell something to somebody, most of the time they don't get it. But with the video, if they watch it, they might get it.
Yeah.
So I hope that, for example, the Sri Lankan mining techniques that they use in order to mine under the paddy field, one day will be able to go out from Sri Lanka and to be adapted to mining areas in a wet place, like in Africa. Or, you know, this gem painting that was, I think, developed in Jaipur, then that the whole family bring from Jaipur, I think, to Thailand, and then from Thailand it went to Vietnam, and then it went finally to Mogok. But I think that this could spread. And what we can do, you know, what I could do in order to help miners, you know, I say, okay, well, I can put some money in order to make this video about gem painting. And if people ask me about a good idea, I just show them the link. And with that video, they might be able to go to contact the people in Vietnam or in Thailand or in Myanmar or in Jaipur. With my help, I can put them in contact and help to import this technique. I know few places where this technique would be great. It's, for example, of course, Madagascar, and also in Kenya, in a place like Voi. With, you know, Voi near Tsavo, you have tsavorite, you have yellow tourmaline, you have ruby, you have a different type of gemstone with different colors, and you have a national park just nearby. So you can make some gem painting and then you know, sell the gem painting in the hotel where the tourists are coming. So if people in Voi, if Voi it develop as a center for gem painting, they can get the raw from everywhere around. They can give some job to people who are jobless in the village near Voi, in the village near Kasigao, and they could create a small industry there. I cannot do that. I'm a foreigner, but I hope that, you know, people in Kenya will one day import gem painting, not in Nairobi, because that's nice to have that in Nairobi. You can train some people, but what really makes the difference is that when the technique is imported around the mining area, because it will spread. Because around the mining area, you have many people with no job. As Philippe said, why people are going 200 or 300 meters underground mining? Because they have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Because there is a drought, they are not working their farm because they are working their farm only during the rainy season for 2 or 3 months, but they have nothing to do for 10 months or 9 months per year. What can they do during that time? They could make some gem paintings.
No, it's
and that will bring them some income.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of unemployed people there that could be, motivated to do something that will generate some income for them. If we import the right technique.
It's true. So, Philippe, we had a few questions from the audience, and I wanted to get into some of those. Why we're still talking about, we were just speaking about your first trip, and how did it, going back to that first month-long trip, how did that change your perspective, like on your own life and on what you're doing? Because that was really your first time seeing the trade. And of course, then later on going back and editing the whole thing. When you look back at that time in your life, was it transformative in some way?
Oh, for sure. I mean, basically, False Zebra was, that film was the beginning of many things for me personally and professionally. And then in the way that I've been thinking since then. Personally, I mean, it truly gave me an opportunity to make my first feature, and working on the storytelling part on that was just fascinating, especially, but like I said, it was a puzzle. I mean, I came back with 1 month of filming, and I had to try to make something out of it, and it was, pointing out that technically it was far from obvious. I actually broke a camera at one time. I had to switch cameras, switch formats from NTSC to PAL, etc. I mean, it was a mess. And at the time, it was not as easy as today to just match those different types of videos. So personally, I mean, I truly, you know, like I said, I isolated myself to really work on the storytelling part and prove to myself that, you know, I could make something out of without any influence from the outside, make something out of this puzzle and make a story that could actually impact and interest not only the people in the gem world, but people outside of the gem world. And after that, actually, I also learned what I really keep personally from that trip in Tanzania is you know to remain modest and always have, you know, respect for the people that I encounter and I visit, whether it's with Vincent or with other people. Is that in all these professions are really truly interesting, and we understand sometimes that actually we don't know much about the subject before we really get into it, and we just listen. There's so much, especially today in our world. I mean, there's communication coming from all over, from the internet, from TV, from etc. You know, you're just bombarded with information from everywhere, and sometimes you start to really understand the true reasons why, for example, people would go to this tough job of small scale mining. Why would they do that, and what are the pressures that they feel that push them towards doing that kind of job? You cannot understand it if you don't, if you don't cut yourself from all the other influences and just listen and observe. And that's what I try to do when I make my films, is that I try to listen and observe and try to capture the essence of what these people are doing. And going back on another question that you asked, Justin, you were talking about the other fields in the gem world, such as gem cutting and etc. And well, all that I can say is that every time I travel with Vincent, all these different professions that you have in the gemstone industry, the people that actually that we at least visit with Vincent are truly passionate people. And I don't know if it's the fact that they know Vincent in advance, so they really know that they can be natural and have no fear of anything. Basically what they communicate through the images is truly authentic. It's truly authentic, and you can really see that you really have some passionate people that are eager to learn. And that's what I was going back to what I was saying earlier, is that education is really the most important things before regulation. Well, that's my personal thought on it, but it's really education. And well, that's what we can do on our side with Vincent and the rest of the team, Didier and Anthony, is to try to educate people and help people educate themselves, like Vincent was saying, one country, one miner from to another.
Actually, this is what you say is correct, because you meet passionate people because I select them. That's my point. I try to, when I go to a mining area, I try to, number one, make some friends, and then identify who will be the right people to travel with. And I like to put my friend in contact with each other. This is something that I told to Justin, you know that very well. I like to put my passionate friend from one part of the world in contact with my passionate friend from another part of the world, and then they can, I don't own my friends; they are my friends, so I'm sharing things with them, and I help try to make sure that
created a network of passion.
Yeah, exactly, because that's more creative. That's I think that we are an age now where people who think that about secret contact. We were speaking last week with Jean-Claude Michelou. It's about you are doing a secret business with a secret contact using secret bank account in secret place, something like that. I think that's a kind of thing maybe from the past, or maybe it's a kind of very romantic thing that was No, actually, what my way to do the thing is I try to find people that I found interesting and connect with them and learn from them. And you do that much better when you put them in contact with each other. So I found out that you were a nice guy and you were an interesting guy to travel with. And I take you to visit my friend in the field. And yeah. And then they are not afraid because they know me and they know that if you're with me, so probably they will not have too much problem with you because they know that I'm selective with people.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I hope they do.
So
I try to disappear actually sometimes when I'm filming. But just to finish on one thing that you were saying, Justin, is that so what has this first film actually on the long term? What is done is basically whether it's me or my two colleagues, Anthony and Didier. Basically, this first film, and today still we do everything. We do everything ourselves, from the filming to the editing to the color correction and etc. We're we do all these jobs ourselves. So I learned it through Fall Zebra. I had to do it all myself, and the only thing that changes today is the financial part. At the time, Fall Zebra, I financed it myself. It took me years, but I made it in the end, and I was able to publish it. Then we went to do beautiful films with Vincent that managed to finance it through the different partners that he had and himself personally. Today, like you see, I mean, in 1 year, how many films did we put out? I think it's in 2018, for example, we put out 4 or 5 films. We today, most of our films are actually short, from 5 to 10 minutes. I thought it was a great exercise as far as storytelling, because it forced me to actually make concise storytelling. So I really saw it as an opportunity. But then, why not move towards more complex and more lengthy films? Is just the financial part that's in question. So gem painting was actually a project that Vincent financed largely on his side, and he made it possible. And so we managed to put out a 20-minute film. But of course, now, I mean, we know that we have basically what we have today. We've acquired all those skills. The only factor that changes is where the finance comes from. Yeah. And today, if we have the finances to go on a feature-length film on a subject that really we find interesting and we really see the potential of it, that it's going to help a lot of people advance, then our crew, I mean, is ready, and that's actually also something that I've learned with Fall Zebra at the time, and up until today, is that today I still work with the same team, whether it's the friend who composes the music for my films, or the people who does drawings for it, like in Fall Zebra, etc., or Anthony, who does the drone images and etc. Or Vincent. I mean, we're really a team. We really truly understand each other. We are all friends now, and that makes a big difference. Meaning that when we go on the subject, oftentimes, I mean, Vincent knows that he doesn't have to really lecture me on what's interesting in what we just saw or something. I mean, we just understand each other. It just clicks. And it's the same thing with the music composer and etc. He just I just have to briefly talk with him and he understands what I want. Basically now the machine, I mean, we're a well-trained crew, and the only thing that limits us today are the finances to do more important projects.
So I remember when there was Follow the Zebra. At the time of Follow the Zebra, I was broke. I was putting all my money on my expedition. The reason why I took you is because I didn't have enough money to afford the trip if you were not coming. Because if you were not coming, I would have, the car would have been too expensive for my budget. So the reason why at the beginning, Guillaume was able to motivate me to accept you was, okay, well, he will do like everywhere of us. He will share the cost. So we have one more guy to share the cost. So we can close the budget. But then there was a zero budget for the documentary, for the movie. At this time, I was working at Google. I was living in Switzerland. I was broke. Sometime at the end of the month, I was borrowing $50 or 50 Swiss franc or 100 Swiss franc to one of my co-workers, some of my colleagues at Google, to go to buy food at the supermarket. And because nobody was financing I had a big struggle to finance the expedition. Just to finance the expedition was not the lab financing the expedition, it was myself. And then at GIA, when I started at GIA, it was just with the Lehman Brothers, so budget was very low. And at the beginning, I had no budget for when you arrive with Follow the Zebra 2012, and I was starting to speak about that to GIA, about documenting the field expedition in order to because they wanted to be a guy at the research meeting said, but Vincent, you say the samples are coming from there, but how can we know it's true? So then I was thinking, okay, yeah, right, yeah, maybe I could fake the whole thing and start to provide a synthetic and say that this stone I collected at the mine, but actually I'm just lying to the whole thing. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's a good question. So actually there was two ways. It was either I travel with a lawyer who certifies that, oh, I saw Vincent collecting this sample and this mining area and things like that, or I travel with a cameraman, because obviously traveling with a photographer, with people that I asked them to take photographs when I was doing things, was not enough for some of my colleagues at GIA. So I decided to travel with a cameraman. Then first I asked a budget and I got nothing. So I decided to take, as usual, I decided to finance myself. And then that was year 2012. And at the research meeting in 2012, after putting $15,000 in traveling with a cameraman, that was not Philippe, because Philippe was not available at this time. You were working, I think, in Canada. I came with a 5-minute, very short video, a teaser, that I showed during my talk at the research meeting. And then you had a guy from the marketing and also a guy from education who came to see me, Duncan P. and Stephen Morisot, and who told me, Vincent, this video, this is great. We want that. We want you to travel with a cameraman. Can you? And then suddenly I had a lies. So there was marketing who was interested. There was education who was interested. And marketing education discussed with the lab. And the next year I had a budget. So this is the way it works. This is the way I learned it works. And this is the reason why, for example, again, I put the money to make a gem painting. Because if I speak about something, maybe I don't speak correctly, maybe not a native English speaker, or maybe my articles are not clear enough, but it's quite difficult to convince people about other ideas. So sometimes you have to invest, you put your money, and then you get it done. This is exactly what Philippe did. I was not believing in Follow the Zebra first. At the end, I think I sent you some money because you were really struggling to finish it. So I sent you a little bit of money at the beginning 2012 or end 2011 because you were I was not thinking that Philippe will ever deliver the video. After 5 years, we still had nothing. So I was not believing at all, Philippe, but he said, yeah, no, I'm nearly finished, but I need, I think you were needing something like $1,000 at the end in order to finish the whole thing because, so I think I sent you a small amount, and we put a little bit of money together for you to finish it, and we had no idea about what will come out from that. And then I saw, and I said, okay, then now I'm convinced. So Philippe showed me that you put your time and your money on a project, then you show to somebody with a video, and then I decided that, okay, now from now on, I have to save some money in order to be able to afford a cameraman on my expedition. Because before I was not thinking like that. But then I say, okay, now every time on my salary, and this is what the gem painting is about, it's on my saving. I decided, okay, every year I put this amount of money that I will use in order to promote and finance a good idea and I will make instead to make our normal like a 5-minute video, I will make a little bit add more minute in order to make something that maybe will help.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm doing now.
So Philippe,
usually I try to find a customer to finance the whole expedition, but sometimes, most of the time, it's difficult. Labs are not willing to, finance field expedition, doing research, sending a team with 3 or 4 people, pay the plane tickets, the hotel, the car, and then the sample. Labs,
yeah,
they are more fancy about buying a big machine. LAIC PMS, $300,000, and getting a good scientist, something like that. Now putting the money on going to the jungle, it's the kind of they are not naturally. Or they want the sample, but they want them cheap. They say, but you want documentation. Everybody wants documentation. But when you start to speak about the price of having 1 or 2 cameramen coming with you and to document the whole thing, then they say, oh, we don't have this budget.
So you had to convince.
So it's difficult. It's, yeah. So this is the difference. Is we are able now to raise some money, but not, we are able to raise. We are trying to find a way to raise the money, but it's not.
Yeah, normally, we might actually. We're considering putting up some crowdfunding campaigns, and we're actually open to also different subject matters. Like I said, I mean, there's many things to explore in this world, and in the gem world, I mean. And so, we're really open to, as long as, it generates progress. It's an idea that can generate progress and that can help and educate. And we're truly, we're that's what we've trained ourselves to do. And so, we might have to actually, today we're arriving to a stage where we might have to actually ask for the help via crowdfunding campaign. So that might, if you see a campaign come up, it might be us. Trying to raise some funds.
So Philippe, a minute ago you were speaking about kind of you learning the art of storytelling the hard way through piecing together Follow the Zebra. I kind of wanted to go back to that for a second. Like maybe a month ago we were speaking with Richard Hughes, and one of the things that came up in the talk with him, we were speaking about how one of the big things that the gem trade is lacking, especially from what we see here in the Bangkok side, is like, this ability, as far as marketing goes, this ability to tell a story and to kind of communicate this passion that, what you have been speaking about, the people that you met and the people that you've documented, trying to communicate that passion through the story of the thing that we're doing in order to, further convey the product or whatever that we're trying to pass to a customer. So as a person who spent a long time working on storytelling and learning the art of storytelling, do you have any advice for us in the trade who are, trying to also develop and understand how to tell our own story and how to transmit that story to our audience and our customers?
Well, I mean, personally, it's as far as what moves me in stories is really to capture the natural aspect, the authentic, the authenticity. I think today it's something that comes up in many different fields, not only gemstone painting, but in many different fields, because again, we're in a world of excess communication coming from all over the place and manipulated information. It's really the authenticity, I think, that really speaks out in the end, and that we don't realize that, overthinking actually something how to communicate this passion. The passion communicates for me naturally as long as you're really authentic and being true to yourself. And that's what I've noticed when I make this film with Vincent, with these people that I meet. At first they notice that I'm here, but then Vincent, a lot of times says, how he laughs, how sometimes he's wondering where I've gone because he can't find me and I'm hidden in a corner trying to film the guy because I just want him to forget about me after a while. And so I know that he's in a good state of mind because he's with Vincent. He's somebody he knows. They're friends most of the time, and etc. But then, you have to go to the next step where actually you document it truly. That he has to forget that you're here. So that's my way of the filmmaking. Actually, is that sometimes I try to, I have techniques to try to board the people that they stop looking at me and looking at the camera and try to hide from them a little bit. Get out of there. And that's when I actually managed to capture them and their passion. They're just being authentic and just trying to do their work as they usually do it. And that's where it comes out. That's where that passion is transmitted fully. And that's how I see it.
But I know, like, when you're, when you're at home and you're piecing all this stuff together, I mean, I can tell, and I think everyone can tell, that you've made some conscious choices about how to put the story together. You've focused it on people, whereas you could have just told about stones and, gemology and everything like that. But I'm not saying the whole team has really created an experience where as a viewer, we're focused on a human experience, not just a gemstone story. So do you think that that's really important, or that's just your personal prerogative?
Well, for me it's crucial. I mean, what I often say is that, what I was trying to convey through these films is I wanted people to see beyond the material beauty of a gemstone. So to basically reveal the different facets of it, the different complexity, the untold beauty of it, So for sure, I mean, for me, the human side of it makes the whole story. That's what's fascinating about it. It's the effort that people go to bring out this rock that would have never have been revealed to the world. It was stayed in the ground. And how after this rock travels the world in the hands of different people and gets shaped in ways that people just are admiring of it. And one day maybe that stone then ends up on the finger of a fiance or a future wife to be, or vice versa. And that's where actually I think that's a really important part of it. It's the whole human side behind it.
Yeah. This is exactly that. I tried many times to get the cameraman having an interest on gemstone, but you really have to be a cutter in order to see the beauty in a piece of rough. For them, when you go to mining area, you see rough, and to see a nice piece of rough, it's maybe one stone out of 1 kilo. So most of the stones that you see in mining area are not super pretty. So then you have people like Philippe or Didier or Anthony, they look at that and they say, yeah, well, it looks like junk.
Yeah, and usually they're covered in mud.
Naturally, they are much more interested by the people, the culture, the landscape. And this is, I cannot, tell my cameraman they are not gemology, so they are not super interested, in the rough and what they're going to do with that, because it doesn't speak to them.
Yeah.
So, but what is easy for them is they see the people, they see the stories, they see the space and the area, and that is something that speaks to them, and then they can document.
Yeah.
Now, one day, maybe there will be a lapidary who will be a cameraman, and he will start to make a video about a stone, seen from a lapidary cameraman eye. But so far, I have never found any, let's say, good gemologist, an experienced gemologist or an experienced lapidary, telling me, Vincent, I'm tired with my gemology stuff or my lapidary stuff. I want to start to make videos, and I would like to come with you in the field as a cameraman, and I want to make a video not about the people but about the stone, because I think the stone, all your video about the place and the people, but we need to show the stone. So far, I don't have made that. And if I try to push my cameraman to do something they don't like, they will do junk. They will do something that will be probably very bad. So it's better to let them do something that they enjoy, they are motivated, because at the end, it will be much better.
Yeah.
So,
right, and sometimes it's the outside eye also that's interesting, because you're talking about when somebody, you know, makes a film about his own profession. Well, it's seen differently than from somebody who comes from outside of it and that discovers it. Really well. I mean, you know, I see Vincent as kind of an explorer. You know, he goes on he goes around the world, you know, exploring all these places and discovering these people. And I see myself also as my films. It's an exploration. Like I said, there's no scripting except for general ideas. There's no real true scripting. So I'm exploring, discovering, and trying to transmit, you know, that feel. And just to go back to what you were saying about people that, you know, don't really see the value of a stone. I mean, what's transmittable is when you see somebody that's passionate about a stone, you can read it on his face, and that's when you start saying, "Oh my God, yeah, it is beautiful," actually, because you look at how the other guys are reacting, and it makes me think of this children's story that I heard a few days ago when I was making it listen to my kid about this king who wanted, you know, everybody was scared of him, and so everybody would tell him what he wanted to hear, and basically everybody told him that, well, the most beautiful gown that he had to put on was this, and it was actually the ugliest, and he believed in it because everybody was saying that, yeah, it's beautiful, and so in the end, I mean, I think beauty. I mean, what's really what transmits is really what's around the stone. Just a stone sitting there is just, you know, it's the story behind it and the people that it affects and what
the stone in their rough state. Because of course, when you go to a jewelry store, the stone are speaking to people because they were turned into beautiful objects thanks to the work of the lapidary and also the jewelers.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When you go to the mine, you see a pile of gravel, and oh, is that sapphire? Really, that's sapphire? Well, you know, in the jewelry store or in the auction house, they were looking beautiful, and this is the same as that. People don't believe. Yeah. So when you go to the field, what is really easy to catch is the people and the passion that they have for their job. But the stone, they are still in a very rough state. Only a cutter or a burner can, then they start to have eyes like, oh, I know what I can do with that. But a cameraman or most of the people, even the miners, they are wondering, what can I do with that? Because when I ask the question to most of the miners, sometimes they ask me, what do you think? What are gemstones for? And they think, and then they say, actually, I don't know. Oh, and then most of the time, several times, I had this answer from people in Madagascar. The use of a gemstone is to be sold, to sell. This is something that I get in order to sell it. That's the use for them, because when they see this rough gemstone, rough sapphire, they are not super attractive because they are all milky, they are not very colorful. They will need maybe to have heat treatment in order to be transparent and then faceted. For them, it's something that is only interesting because it can be sold. That's it.
Yeah, and going back onto something that you just said, I mean, it's the same thing for filmmakers. Us filmmakers, me, Didier, or Anthony, is basically you're gonna show us the subject, and you're gonna say, well, that's not worth anything, and we're gonna say, yeah, no, it is. No, we know what we can do with this, you know, because it's our profession. I mean, you know, okay, yeah, we know there's a story there, and you're just gonna look at it and say, really, yeah. Well, we're gonna tell you, yeah. Same thing as a stone. When you see the stone, I mean, these guys see the potential. Oh, I'm going to cut it like this or like that. You'll see I'll make it just beautiful. And it's the same thing as us. You know, we start with this rough footage, like a rough stone, and you know, when we start faceting it and making, you know, polishing it and etc. to make it beautiful and make it shine to everybody.
Yeah. So here's Philippe, here's a sort of a techie question from the audience. Going back to that first trip, how many hours did you film, and did you film it on like cassette or memory card or what?
Yeah, at the time it was cassette. It was mini DV cassettes,
Okay.
and I think I filmed about it was I think about 20 hours of film.
20 hours, and then stripped it down to one.
Yeah, it was down to one. So yeah, I go.
It was not a lot because Philippe knew that he didn't have too many cassettes, so he was saving film. Because now they are more easy, you know. It's a digital stuff in the computer, but at this time he was kind of how many days remaining, and he was counting his.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and trying to that was stressful because like I said, it was my first time doing such a trip, and go figure how much cassette you're going to need for a month. I mean, I had already invested, for the cost of traveling with Vincent and also the equipment. But I mean, so I brought 20 cassettes. I said, is that going to be enough? And so that was very stressful. And yeah.
And
so it was,
yeah.
Now, Philippe, on the last trip, for example, in Madagascar, on a normal trip, like let's say, if we go 1 week, you end up with how many hours of rush on an average?
Yeah, I mean, several hours for 1 week. I mean, it depends actually on, I try to, sometimes also, we as filmmakers, like everybody in their profession, we try to new things, and sometimes we film a little bit more because we're trying stuff out, and if it doesn't work out, you'll never even see it. If it works out, then you'll see it. And so that's that was what was also very very helpful in that trip in Tanzania. That was 1 month. It's 1 month of filming, only filming for 1 month was great. I mean, you're doing your profession every day, nonstop for a month. I mean, that's just how it was. And when we leave with Vincent, that's how it works. You leave on a trip with him from the moment you take the plane to the moment you take the plane back. I mean, you're in filming mode, and you're basically, shooting anything that could be interesting. But then, of course, you got to sort all that out. So, so basically.
So after we just said all that and basically kind of come to the conclusion that maybe the filmmaker isn't in the good place to really appreciate the rough stone, of course. One question from the audience that comes up is, did you ever have a favorite stone or a favorite stone story that that happened to you when you were on one of the trips?
Well, I mean, for sure. I mean, like I said, the trip that, really is memorable to me is the one in Tanzania. And I mean, meeting that guy who found the spinel for me was just one of the most extraordinary stories that I had ever heard. And just to see the guy in front of us and to see how happy he was, actually, he was just thrilled to be there.
Not anymore a minor. He left the industry. He was not anymore a minor.
Yeah, he was not even a minor anymore. Yeah, he had left completely the industry. So that was just fascinating. And that's a story that it's I mean, we were really lucky to end up finding this guy, but I mean, luck and not so much, because like Vincent said, we were really trying to search for him, and thanks to our friend Abdul also, who did a wonderful work with trying to find this guy in the middle of nowhere. So that will be truly, I mean, the story that remains in my head, even though it dates back to the first trip. It was really something pretty extraordinary to begin with in that field.
Yeah, that I remember that was quite a lot of pressure for me, because I wanted to. I was speaking to Abdul for a few days, and already, on the phone, I said, Abdul, can you find the guy who found the spinner? That was his. Abdul was my local contact, Abdul M. Salem. He's a broker in Tanzania. He was one of the brokers that Mark Soul told me that I could use, because he speaks a lot. He loves to speak, so he has many stories, and he has a very good memory. So he knows about all the stories about all the places he has worked, and he worked everywhere in Tanzania. So I told Abdul, we had already an expedition together, can you find the guy who found the spinel? It would be great. I would love to speak with him. And then he said, yeah, I will try. Every day he was saying, I will try. And he was on the phone. And then we went to dinner, and he brings the guy for dinner, but he didn't tell me before. He told me he wanted to make me the surprise. That was probably the best surprise that he did to me, was to bring that guy for dinner. And we had this dinner with Richard and with Philippe. I had no idea that Philippe was filming. At the end of the dinner, I was asking Philippe, did you film the stuff? He said, yeah. And Philippe was, yeah.
I found my precious,
I forgot about Philippe at this time. No idea at all. When I saw the whole scene on Follow the Zebra, actually for me, in Follow the Zebra, the thing that was the most impressive was how Philippe tricked me on when we went to visit the mine in Morogoro. There was a mine, we heard about it, we went there, and Abdul said, oh, there is a mine with many people. It took us one day to go there. We arrived at the mine, there was a big hole, rusted machine, nothing. Nobody, nothing. So I told Abdul, that's the mine. Yeah, he said, oh yeah, few months ago there was a lot of people. Yeah, but today there is nobody. So that's why we came with 4 hours and things like that. And then there was a Maasai coming, and we heard that there was a mining camp about 500 meters away from there, but kind of a not really legal mining camp and things like that. And we had a guy from mining officer from the government with us, and then the guy said, yeah, but I don't know if they will be very happy to see some foreigners, to see some visitors. So I told Philippe, I don't want any problems, so please, let's go together. We go, not just to Philippe, but to everybody. Okay, let's go. We try to see what is going on. Maybe they will throw us a stone, or I have no idea, but please don't do anything that will make them angry. And then I look at Philippe, I say, Philippe, stop filming. He continued filming, but he put the camera on his waist. And I had no idea that he was still filming. And at one point, Abdul was speaking with the miners and explaining what we are doing. And then the tension diffused, because at the beginning they saw foreigner plus a guy from the government. So they were thinking that it was the avant-garde of the police, and there will be a big operation and everybody will go to jail. So we said, no, we just, Abdul explained what we were doing. And then the guy said, the same guy who were giving us like a tough look, then they asked to Philippe, hey, film what I'm doing. And then Philippe had to, document the guy who was doing
that actually goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that, like you said, in that time where I filmed in Fall Zero, I filmed when we were arriving at the mine, and these miners did not know what we were coming to do. And I documented and I explained it in Fall Zebra. You really can sense the tension. At first we were scared of of them in a sense, but actually they were more scared of us. And that's something that today in the films that we do today, you don't see it because we present ourselves. They know what we're here to do, but you can really see that what I was talking about earlier, the difference between the same exact people, between when they're scared or when they're not scared. And it's the same people. And one of them, with the scared guy, he's gonna be frightening. Whereas, if he's if he's just, he's in a sense that he's with people that can be trusted and etc. He's just a normal human being, and that's what we managed to actually film today. When we go with Vincent, we travel, amongst people that know we're here to do good. So that's one of the rare exceptions in Fall Zebra, where you can see this radical difference between the beginning, where they're very frightened and aggressive because they're frightened. They do not know the guy that was from the government, like you said, the governmental official was here to arrest them. And after that, once they understand that we're just here to document, and here Vincent was there as a scientist, it's radically different. And so that's something that I truly also learned from that trip in Madagascar, in Tanzania, I mean. And it's something also that Vincent also says oftentimes, is when you travel, when somebody is scared in the group that you're traveling with, he's going to probably create trouble, because what is more what is worse for someone to think that they're scary to another person? You know what I mean? Is if that person senses that he's scared, he doesn't know why, then he's gonna start picking on you, because it's a lack of respect in a sense. Why would you be scared of me? I didn't do anything. Why would you? And that's something that I've truly learned. I mean, when you really go to people with good intentions and a good heart, then things usually work out pretty good.
Yeah.
And yet, here is the dark side, is the way to the dark side of the force. If you bring somebody with fear, you're totally right. Fear is going to spread. And if there is a predator, if, for example, sometimes you meet people who don't have the right, good intention. When they see that somebody is afraid, you are sure that that person will be the target. And then the whole situation is going to snowball into potentially a very, very bad situation. Because the predator all the time targets the weakest, and the weakest is usually the one that is afraid. And the predator has a very good smell to find the guy that is afraid. So when I know when I travel with people, if the people with me are afraid for some reason, thief will come. Somebody will do something that they will not usually do on a normal person. Corrupt policeman or something might happen. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
People who are also completely nuts, who don't understand danger, are also dangerous. So the good thing is to bring normal, friendly people with somebody who knows the place and who has a good network of friends. That's safety. But that part of the expedition, for me, I was very impressed with the way that it shows in Follow the Zebra, because it's very genuine, and it was exactly my memory of the expedition of that particular moment in 2012 when I saw the movie. I said, okay, that's really the part that told me that I have to get a cameraman when I go to the field.
Yeah.
Because you were able to put that so well that that's probably my favorite part of the film. Until the farmer, when the guy explains that he's a poor farmer, he's working because there is no job in his farm. So if he's here, he can find a stone, so he can make some money. So it's good for him and his family, because if not, there is no money to do. He will not get anything. So he is working, digging for stone, and that's the first step. People first, they are not really miners in many places. Actually, miners, you have some technical knowledge. They are more like diggers. They dig, and then they find some stone. Then they understand that this stone you can do that. Then they become usually either they go away because they have found a stone that then they don't need to go digging again, or they become like a businessman or dealers. So they learn something and they will use this knowledge to get the stone from the diggers and bring them to some gem merchant. But that part, you get it so well. That was...
Okay, so final question of the evening. Of course, we are in the middle of the global pandemic and no one is really traveling right now. So obviously there's not going to be any more field gemology trips, probably for sure this year. But do you guys have concepts that you guys are working on, or new ideas outside of just an actual trip destination that you're eventually going to do? Like the gem paintings video, which I think was a concept before you left, right? You knew you were going to do that we
discovered it actually on the first trip. I discovered it on the first trip, and then we went back a second time to make the film. But there was footage from the two trips.
So do you have any more kind of
Well,
overarching plans like that? Either of you guys?
well, what we do have, I mean, Vincent has many different ideas that are very interesting. But truly today, I mean, we're also very open to receiving actually ideas from people who are the audience from that's either watching us right now or other people in the gym world that, like I said, any subject that we feel can generate progress and that is really worth documenting and sharing, and that we can really help people. We would definitely be interested in getting our crew together and making this film. So yeah, we're really open to also receiving and hearing about different subject matters that could be very interesting to document.
Okay. And Vincent, what about you?
Well, the main thing is currently the finance.
Yeah.
Number one, there are no plane. Number two, the labs that I'm usually working with, because they don't have customers too much, people are not submitting too many stones in the lab, so lab don't have budget. So basically, research budget, video budget, documentary budget is going to zero.
Yeah.
So there is no budget. So I have to find basically new ways to. All my business plan are going to zero. It's a total disaster. I'm basically traveling on Gemstone. Gemstone industry is hit very hard with COVID-19, and traveling is going to zero. So there were two things I was going to do, and field gemology, as long as there is no budget for research to go to get sample in the field, and there is no possibility to travel, it's dead. It's zero activity. So I'm thinking, as you know, about other things. We are speaking about crowdfunding. Yeah, crowdfunding. But crowdfunding, you need to basically, the difficulty is that it's the same as you go to see a producer. You have to explain the idea before to do it.
Yeah.
And this is not exactly the way we do, because we are doing research. Our research starts where knowledge stops. So my whole concept, the whole thing that I'm doing for the past 20 years is I plan the expedition, but I have no idea about what actually I will see. So in order to, let's say, well, I will need this amount of money because I'm going with my team to this place in Madagascar, and we are going to document, to make a video about this aspect. There will be 20,000 people working in the jungle, blah, blah, blah. I cannot say that. I have no idea when will be the next big gem rush. Now, there is one thing that I want to keep doing is, I think the next project is when I will be able to go back to Madagascar. I want to return to the jungle covered area where you had the big sapphire rush in Bayment. I'm already discussing with people in charge of conservation there. So I know that there is a guy who studied lemurs who went there, and he told me that the lemurs are still there, that miners are gone. Lemurs are still there. So it seems that unlike what National Geographic, he's a guy who was working with National Geographic, the BBC and things like that, said and told to the whole world that the gem miner didn't kill the lemurs there. The lemurs are still alive around the mining areas. And I want to return there with a primatologist and with maybe a specialist on geography and studies of population, and we are going to interview people, and we are going to make another video about that. And then we compile maybe, the different videos that we have, and we make a whole documentary about, during the gem rush and after the gem rush, in order to show the actually what was going on there. It's exactly as I was saying. When somebody go one time in a place, you get one image, but you don't see the dynamic. And when we go several times, we see the dynamic. And And this aspect, I went twice in Bayment. I saw the evolution, and I was happy to see that the lemur was still alive at the second time. And I hope that when I will go there again, probably there will be no more miner, or maybe 2 or 3 people, and we'll make another one about that and try to put the whole story together. Because at the end, I think that what I like to see in the future and try to advocate is I try to advocate some good relationship between the gem industry and conservation, because I think that somewhere Gemstone could promote and support positive ideas such as conservation. And of course, I understand that some journalists make more money selling bad story that the gem miners are killing the lemurs. But what is interesting for me to see is that when you travel around Madagascar, it's very difficult to see lemurs alive in the nature. And you have some kind of small place like a zoo or like a national park. But actually, in order to see some lemurs alive, I had to go to a gem producing area. So that was fun. That was usually when you go around normal village, it's very difficult to see them. But then around that place, there was gem miners, and then there was lemur. Wow, I was thinking that the gem miners, the lemur would be afraid of the miners, they would go away, but actually they didn't. So I was surprised about that, and this is something that intrigued me. And then you have these journalists who say that, oh, I hear the lemur, so this is the proof that the miners are killing the lemur. Yeah, that's not exactly a proof for me. I hear the lemur, it means that they are here and they are alive. It means that they are not dead. So that's not the proof that the miners are killing the lemurs.
Yeah.
So then the journalist called me a stupid guy because I don't have a PhD in conservation, and I don't understand anything about conservation and things like that. But I think that they are just liars.
Yeah. So you can prove them wrong with a new video.
It's not just proving them wrong. I don't care about. I know they are wrong. I don't need to prove them wrong. I think it would be better if their article were they were providing some fact, and they were proving that their thing was right. But in science, it's not about proving that somebody is wrong. It's about, you make an experiment and then you go and you compare. So it's about making a study, and this is one of the things that we like to show, that I would like to find ways to promote and to show that gem mining and conservation can work together. Like, I think the best thing we can do with Gemstone is to use Gemstone to promote and to finance good ideas around the place. Because actually, if you want people to enjoy a stone from Madagascar, you have to bring some positive stories. So in order to show positive stories, sometimes, it's about education. You have to help this positive story to get created, and to spread the message about, there are some problems in this country. There is poverty, there is that, but there are also some positive things. And if we can show these positive things, then some people will be more happy to have a stone, coming from that place. And the difficulty we have is that you have these people like these so-called journalists who are basically, bad stories sell better than good stories. So they go there, they collect bad story, and they bring this bad story to consuming market. And then in consuming market, people say, oh, yeah, I would like to buy a sapphire, but I want to make sure that my sapphire didn't kill the lemurs. So they don't want a sapphire from Madagascar. But if you don't buy sapphire from Madagascar, what is left for the people in Madagascar? What are they going to do? Burn the forest? How they are going to, I think that gemstone, there is a potential with gemstone mining in many gem producing areas in order to help the people to have a better life, and also to show them that there is a value to protect what can still be protected, to have a good life in also a good environment. And you don't need to destroy the last forest and the last lemurs of Madagascar in order to have a great future. I think there is an interest to protect them. And if gemstone could be part of that, that would be great. So it's about trying to build, to find some positive story and to bring them to the public and to create a model. Exactly the same as gem painting. Gem painting, I put the money there because we were discussing with Philippe. We had, okay, we could make a documentary on women in Vietnam. Okay, great. Everybody will know that Vietnamese women work super hard. How does it help? How will that help, in other places around the world?
Yeah.
To know that, in Vietnam, the women are working super hard. That will maybe motivate some other women to, okay, but the reason why they work super hard is that during the war, there was the Vietnam War, all the guys were fighting, and then the women, like during the First World War in France, the women had to do the work because the guys were fighting, against the American and the French and things like that. And then when the war was finished, well, the guys say, well, she's working, women are working great. That's cool. Let's have a tea. It's a bit, it's not really that, but
yeah,
there is something like that. I think that what was the plan? To have a war in the country, so in order for women to do all the work? No. So I understand why women are working super hard in Vietnam, but I was not able to see that story as something that could really help in other places. But gem painting, yes, I see a huge potential for gem painting as a tool to improve the life of people in other places. And I think that also at one point, when people think about responsible gemstone, about conservation-friendly gemstone, we have to find a way to show to the miners that there are some simple way to mine in a conservation-friendly way or in an environmental-friendly way. So I will be interested to put some of my saving in a movie like that. So if, with the budget that I have remaining, yeah, I will do something like that in order to keep promoting, gemstone mining in a way that, to show that gemstone mining can be done in a way that is respectful for the environment and for the local communities and things like that.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a great idea, and I think that all of us will look forward to seeing a video like that because, again, something that hasn't been done before, just like the gem painting video, a great idea that we can put out into the world. Well, shall we call it an evening, gentlemen? We've had a pretty great another journey around the world with photos and videos. Did we say everything that we meant to say?
Well, regarding that, if people have ideas and they would like me to help some ideas about a subject, I'm listening. I'm listening, but about gem videos about gemstone, I'm listening. But gemstone in the field, of course, in gem producing areas.
And of course, if people want to find you, find Philippe, find me, we are all on, of course, social media. We've got Facebooks and LinkedIn's and websites. And for anyone who's not following Philippe, I put all of his info up on the page. I think everybody now knows how to find me and Vincent because we have been saying this already for 15 weeks in a row. So Philippe, thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts and your stories, and thanks to all of the guests who have come back week after week after week and contributed to this whole experience with such good questions and good feedback and good comments and sharing the videos and going back on YouTube and watching them over and over again. It's really gratifying for us, right? I think Vincent as well, like it's a good feeling to see that we've, going back to that first slide of 15 webinars, and it's just been such a crazy adventure. Crazy because we've been sitting in the same room the whole time, but yet gone all around.
Yeah, no, it's, I was not thinking at the beginning that we'll go to 15 or 16. I was just thinking that, okay, let's do few of them because we'll see. But the great thing is that actually, yes, these webinars, they stay and they go on YouTube. We cannot go to the field, but at least, we are able to add some every week we're able to add something that is interesting, I think. This interview, the people that I meet in the field or people who I work with, like Philippe, and because maybe in the future, in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, when this period will be just a bad memory, this this webinar will be useful in order to help people understand a few things and maybe improve what is going on in gem producing areas and in the industry. So this is basically the whole goal behind this webinar. I know that currently this is holidays. This is there are quite a few number of people today, and I'm very grateful for some people to have shown up despite COVID-19, despite the holiday, despite the fact that it's maybe a Wednesday afternoon, in a beautiful part of I don't know France or something like that, and instead to enjoy the beach like all the other people who are going around and things like that, you decided to spend some time with us.
Yeah.
So
definitely, thank you. And just a note, actually, I'm also on YouTube. If you want to find me, just type my name, Philippe G. Bruno. I'm also on YouTube.
And so if people want to follow the zebra, is this on Philippe's page or Vincent's page? Where can we find it?
It's on Vincent's page now. Yeah, it's on.
And the Gemstones painting one is there as well.
It's on my YouTube, but it's also Philippe had a Vimeo. It's also on Vimeo. On Vimeo, it's on Philippe account. On Vimeo, I don't have a Vimeo account, but on YouTube, it's on my account.
Okay. So if anyone hasn't seen it, definitely recommend it. And so, Vincent, just give us a few ideas about who we're speaking to next week.
Well, next week we are going to discuss with Gaston Giuliani. So Gaston Giuliani is probably one of the world foremost expert on the gemstone deposit as far as geology is speaking. And Gaston was, he's going to retire. We are working on different projects now, but he's all the time telling me, Vincent, this is the last project I'm doing. But for the past 20 years, Gaston helped me a lot, providing me some contact, and I had the pleasure also to travel with Gaston several times in Africa and also in Myanmar. And he provided me a lot of help because I'm not a geologist. So every time I had some question, he was super nice to answer to me. And we collaborate with each other for the past now 14, 15 years. So it would be a privilege to host him. Currently, he's on holiday. He's coming back from his holiday on Saturday. And he told me that he would be happy to have a webinar with us in August, as he will be back from his holiday. So I hope that he will be in a good, he will have rested well, and he will be in a good spirit. And I think it will be very interesting because I don't know anybody with such an experience about geology from the field, because he went a lot to different mining areas and then to the lab, but geology lab, not exactly the same as gemology. This is where geology and gemology are very different, because in geology, a geologist go to collect a sample he is going to work on. Most of the time, it's normal. You don't do research on samples that you didn't really collect yourself. This is very rare. But in gemology, most of the people work in lab are not going in the field to collect their sample. They get sample from trustable sources. And this is something that bothers me quite a lot, because I see that in many cases, when I started my career, when the so-called trustable sample were actually not really trustable, because I found out that several people who were telling me that they were willing to provide me trustable samples were just manipulators, and they were trying to provide me samples that were not exactly what they were supposed to be. So I decided that if I wanted to do science, good work, I had actually to make sure that the sample I was working on were really coming from that place. And this is something that Gaston was telling me regularly. Say, yeah, this is the way. You cannot really do research on that if you are not sure, if you didn't collect the sample yourself. So he encouraged me to keep doing that.
Okay. So yeah, that'll be an interesting conversation. See what he has to say. We can see how it crosses over with the world of, lab gemology, lab geology. See what's the differences. Should be cool. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. And I just wanted to quickly respond to Sarah Ritchie in the chat, who was asking about any recommendations for grade schoolers of videos to get them outside of their own perspective. Maybe show them a few of Vincent's field gemology videos and see how they respond. Come back next week and tell us if they like them or not, because who knows, maybe little kids would love to see crazy adventures in the jungles and the mines of the world, and get some new ideas about what's going on out there. I know that we all enjoy them, so who knows. Let us know, Sarah. Come back next week and tell us if they like them or not, because I'm curious. Okay, guys, well, it's been great, and thank you again, Philippe, for your time. And
all right, thank you, Justin. Thank you, Vincent.
Yeah, hopefully we'll connect
everybody
one of these days, not online. And Vincent, see you next week.
See you next week, and thanks, Philippe. It was great to have you here, and thanks for all these years. And actually, thanks to have motivated me and to have proven me wrong about the fact that traveling with the cameraman is actually a good thing. Now I think that
good opportunities.
Yeah, with a cameraman or a lawyer, cameraman is much better than.
Okay, see you
Sorry
guys.
for the lawyers. Nothing against the lawyers, really, but.
No, the cameraman is better for sure. We all agree on this.